हो गया बुला रहे हैं जोर से जाते हैं। हाँ हम दे रहे हैं। मानसी, let your focus be on the banner for now. हम दे रहे हैं। किसको भेजे? अच्छा एक बात बताओ तो अपनी मैम क्या बोली थी, हम फिर गड़बड़ा रहे हैं। सिस्टर का स्पीच में ही प्रेयर है, प्रेयर में ही स्पीच है ना? ठीक है। हाँ हो गया सर, थैंक यू। हाँ नहीं 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 निकालेंगे, हम समझ के वो क्या गड़बड़ हुआ था। ठीक है।
Good morning, everyone. I am Shivangi Arya, class representative B3766, and on the behalf of Department of English, I am here to commence. ¿Qué pasa, señor?
यूट्यूब पे सही जा रहा है ना वो देखते हैं
Yes,
ठीक
ma'am.
है हाँ इसमें
सामने से मोबाइल इसको लॉक मत करो.
A very good morning and a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Suchiti, Principal, Nirvana College, our esteemed resource person, Dr. Eva Margaret Hansa, Head, Department of English, Boston College, London, Dr. Akram Khan, Head, Department of English, and my dear students. I am Rajipal Pitla, Assistant Professor in Department of English, and I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the second day of our annual Mother Mechtilda Lecture Series 2022, an annual event organized by the Department of English, Nirvana College, Ranchi, a college with an A-grade accreditation from NAM, as well as a UGC Center for Credential Lectures. Yesterday was our first day of the lecture series in which our honorable resource person, Dr. S.N. Yahya Ibrahim from Parade Street College, delivered a lecture on modern European craft. And today we have with us our esteemed resource person, Dr. Eva Margaret Hansa from Boston College, who will be delivering a lecture on the applied linguistics. I now invite Dr. Abdul Haq Khan, Head Department of English, for the welcome address. Thank you, Prachi. A very warm good morning to our honorable chief guest, esteemed resource person, respected colleagues, students, and everyone present. As we move into the second day of our program, may I request our honorable principal to grant us the permission to begin today's program. Thank you, sister. On behalf of the Department of English, we give you to welcome everyone to the second day of Mother Mechtilda Lecture Series 2022, organized by the Department of English, Nirmala College, Ranchi. It is my proud privilege to welcome our honorable chief guest, Reverend Dr. Sister Jyoti, Principal Nirmala College, Ranchi, to our annual lecture series. Sister, your presence makes the occasion very special for us. You are a constant source of our inspiration and motivation. You have been instrumental in transforming our dreams into realities. Under your dynamic leadership and inner guidance, the institution has achieved new heights of excellence and quality. Your dedication, hard work, and vision has yielded rich dividends for the institution. On this momentous occasion, on behalf of all gathered here, I wholeheartedly welcome you to our annual lecture series. Dear students, please welcome our honorable principal with a big round of applause. I also feel it an opportunity and honor to welcome our esteemed resource person. Today, we are privileged to have with us an important personality, a renowned figure, Dr. Eva Margaret Hansa. Ma'am is currently the head Department of English, Boston College, Ranchi. Ma'am has received her education in Vellore, Hazaribagh, Lucknow, Dhaka, and Ranchi. She has been teaching English language and literature since 1994 and loves the job. The areas of interest are linguistics, tribal oral literature, translation, and marginal literature. Fluent in Santali, English, and Hindi, she is a translator and translation authenticator in Santali, English, Santali, and has been involved in translation projects of CIIL Mysuru. She is a reviewer of Translation Today, a UGC Care List journal published by CIIL Mysuru. Eva ma'am has traveled to several countries but believes that India is the best. Yes, ma'am, we also believe the same. She likes adventure and offbeat travel within India to explore new places across the country. She's also an avid bird watcher, photographer. Ma'am, we are truly honored to have you here and we welcome you from the deepest core of our hearts. Please join me in welcoming your ma'am with a big round of applause. Underneath the shadow of God's love and grace, it's where my heart finds a quiet resting place. As has been the tradition, I request our honorable principal to invoke the blessings of the Almighty and deliver her precious words of encouragement and inspiration for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apri. Our esteemed resource person of the day, Dr. Eva Manista, Boston College, Ranchi. Respected Dr. Apri, HOD Department of English, Mrs. Prachi, and all my dear students. A very warm and blessed good morning to you all. I am once again delighted to see you in this auditorium after 2 years of gap. The pandemic period, we had been associated online, but offline being here is something very, very unique. Isn't it so? Yes. So we are back to our normal life, I believe. Yes? So before we proceed, let's seek the blessings of the Almighty, and for that, I ask you to bow your heads. Let us acknowledge the Almighty amidst us. As we know, God is the giver of everything. He is the source of every origin. Let's acknowledge His presence amidst us, here and now, in and around us, and praise ourselves. Submit all our thoughts, dreams, prayers, and aspirations. Let's join with one heart and one mind as I pray in the following words from Psalm 121, verses 1 to 4. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Almighty, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your feet be moved. He who keeps you will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord Almighty is your keeper. The Lord will keep your going out and coming in from this time on and evermore. So let's place our trust on Him.
बोले कि ज्यादा कान कर Yeah, speaker because mic on.
Yes, when everything fails, God stands with us. And that is the experience we have had during the last 2 consecutive years during pandemic and subsequent lockdown. So with this trust and confidence, let us march ahead. As we know, COVID-19 and its variants and moreover subsequent lockdowns have become major cause of anxiety, stress, insecurity, uncertainty in the past and still continues. But I believe life has to continue, taking along all this. And I believe by the providence of God, today we are here to begin a normal life, to begin something new, to carry out that has been already started. And we are here to continue with our academic search of knowledge and to enhance our knowledge. We have here with us Dr. Eva. And students, I request you all to open your minds and hearts. And I always tell the students to invest maximum. We, we always know to invest at home, what to do for the future. But for students, it is very much required that you invest your knowledge. Your knowledge bank should be so big, so much so that will support your career in future. So we had been battling with the pandemic, with sickness, with many uncertainties. But I believe we were able to battle, and we are here. And God is with us to journey in our search of knowledge. Therefore, without much delay, I seek the blessings of the Almighty. I know for my best wishes as well, and congratulate the Department of English under the leadership of Dr. April, along with Mrs. Prachi Politiga, and Dr. Janet is not here. All they have taken a great step ahead. They have taken a great initiative to enrich you with the knowledge. And rightly they have named Mother Mechtilda Lecture series. So Mother Mechtilda is, a founder member of that college. She is known as architecture of Chotanagpur. She had been here instrumental in building this college, initiating this college. So, to keep her name alive, her memory alive, Department of English has taken up a memorial lecture, and that is for 2 days this year. I congratulate you, my dear teachers, for giving that honor. So I believe nothing can stop us. That is what you are confirming me today in our journey towards search of knowledge, quality enhancement, and quality sustenance. May God bless you all. My best wishes as well. May you have a pleasant day. All the best to you. May God bless you
Thank
all.
you, sister. Nancy.
Thank you, sister, for your kind words. May I now invite Shravani Arya for the next segment of our program, that is the celebration segment.
Thank you so much, Rachina. Good morning, everyone. I am Shivangi Arya, class representative, BA3, semester 6, and I would like, on the behalf of Department of English, to commence the felicitation ceremony. We would like to extend our gratitude to our esteemed dignitaries for gracing this occasion. I now request Dr. Rafi Khan, Head of Department, English, to felicitate Dr. Sister Jyoti, Principal, Nirmala College, with a memento and a plant as a token of our appreciation. Next, I invite Mrs. Prachi Politika, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to felicitate Dr. Eva Margaret Hunster, Department of English, Head of the Gosner College, Ranchi, with a plant and a memento as our token of appreciation. Thank you, everyone. I would like to call Prachi Ma'am on stage for further continuation of the program.
Thank you, Shravani. I now invite Dr. Eva Hanska for delivering her lecture on applied linguistics.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, congratulations to the Nirmala College Department of English for organizing this Mother Mechtilda Memorial Lecture Series 2023. I am ever so grateful to be here, and I think this is the first time that I'll be addressing the Department of English as a resource person. And I thank so much, Dr. Jyoti, and I would also like to thank Dr. Afrinul Haq, the HOD of the Department of English, Dr. Janet Shah, and Prachi Tika. I will not call you professor. I will Prachi Tika because I am part of growing up from the So I'm so thankful to all. Thankful that I'm here with you. And this is a wonderful experience for me. And congratulations to Nirmala College. Your department is a relatively new department and you have enough students to fill the entire auditorium. This is a reflection of all your hard work and about your efficiency. Wonderful. I really congratulate the entire department. And now let's cut down to the lecture. And I have a PPT for all of you. And you see, applied linguistics. What I'm delivering today is just an introduction. Linguistics is a really large field, and on top of that, it is growing every day. It is not possible to cover the entire linguistics or teach applied linguistics in one single day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce applied linguistics, and the reason is I am aware of the syllabus that you study. Because we have a duplicate syllabus at Vashna College. And I am aware that all of you study the basics of core linguistics. The second level, right, please. The basics of core linguistics. You all study it. No need to take down notes. I'm very sure this will be shared with you. I like good eye contact with my students. So, the basics of core linguistics that you remember from your syllabus. You study phonetics and phonology, you study morphology, syntax, you also have semantics, pragmatics, and stylistics. When you go over to PG, you will also study stylistics and descriptive personality. We all are fairly aware of what this is. You study the speech sounds of English, the words, the making of words, the making of sentences, then the grammar, and then semantics, we add meaning into these sentences, pragmatics, the context, maybe the cultural, whatever, any kind of context, and then style, and then we talk about discourse analysis, where you actually analyze collective text. So this much you all studied in your BA English honors and your MA class. That is what Vanchi University teaches you in linguistics. But then you go beyond it. A slide three, a practice slide three.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you go over to applied linguistics and you see what is applied linguistics. We have already done the basics of core linguistics. Core linguistics is like the tools. It is the what do you call it? It is the theory. You study like the what are the basics of linguistics. These are the tools of linguistics. Like when you're cooking or when you're stitching, you need certain tools. You need supporting for stitching, sewing. You need a machine, you need the needles, you need the yarn, you need the cloth, you need the understanding. But then if you keep all your tools, you are not going to get cloth. You're not going to get your dress. You will have to take all of these and you have to cut it up and stitch it and use it. You will either make a dress or a pillow cover or whatever. So you need to use the skills. After we study core linguistics, we have acquired all the skills. But now we need to apply it. And this application is what we call applied linguistics. We use language. We use linguistics. And what do we use it for? You see, linguistics is basically applying language in order to solve some day-to-day problems of life. These problems could be social problems, they could be psychological, medical, communicative, teaching, learning, all kinds of problems. So that is what we deal with. And you see, based upon this, we've got all of these different fields which have come up, which I have put up for you. And the first point which I have mentioned is language learning, teaching, especially in the Indian context. It is a second language acquisition. So all of you as all of us are students of English. And when we study English, then of course there are problems related to thank you, sister. So there are a lot of problems associated with learning English. Many problems. And your teachers, I'll be talking about this point one in a much later stage. Because the first part of my lecture is about introducing applied and core linguistics. The second part will be how it is relevant for you as English students. So that is where I'll be doing in point one, that is language learning and teaching. The second is social linguistics. When we all use language in a social context, you see, in the society around us, and especially we, many of us have got another mother tongue. So the mother tongue is the first language, and we take it to the module, the teaching module that we apply is teaching English as a second language. But the reality is that for many of us, English is a third, in fact, even a fourth language. So that is one social aspect. Besides that, India has got not nearly everybody in India is bilingual. So you have the bilingual context, you have the multilingual context. Where is English placed within this? Alright, and besides that, you also have got language in the social setting, the gender sensitive language, the politically, the the socially correct language. What kind of language do you use? And again, you have in the social context, women speak differently, men speak differently. Alright? So this is also a reflection of language within society. So all of these, exploring language in its social settings, exploring the problems which arise, and if not solving, at least trying to ameliorate those problems. That is what social linguistics does. Then we come to the next one, that is anthropological linguistics, which is also sometimes called linguistic anthropology. And this is one area which used to be very popular some time ago, especially in India, in the Indian context, where you have a number of indigenous tribal communities. And you must have heard about a lot of these ethnographers who came into India. And many of them were also missionaries. So when they came in, they studied the language, especially the language of these, uh,
Indigenous.
unwritten, these languages which do not have a script. So they studied these languages, documented them, studied the culture. So it was sort of anthropology plus linguistics. So you notice what? The first point is society and language. Sorry, anthropology and language. So you have actually applied linguistics is when you are applying language to solve practical problems of the society, you are you are turning it into an interdisciplinary study. Core linguistics is pure linguistics. Pure. You are it's just a study, the theoretical study of linguistics. But when you make it
Applied.
applied linguistics, it becomes interdisciplinary. You are combining two disciplines, society linguistics, anthropology or ethnography, and linguistics.
Linguistics.
And similarly, you also have got psycholinguistics. And psycholinguistics is actually our psychology, the human psyche. Why we speak in a certain way? Why do we use a particular manner of speaking, particular set of words, particular sentences? Why do we do so? What is going on in our minds? You see, even for you, when you speak with your principal, you use a separate kind of English. When you are within amongst your friends, you use a completely different kind of language. And you see, when you want to show off, you change your language a little bit, isn't
मेरे
it?
हम सामने बैठे हैं ना?
And you notice
मैम
it.
के सामने बैठे हैं मैम को next
People who are not comfortable with English, they often put in English words into their speech in order to make an impression. So, language very often has got psychological overtones which guide you, which inspire, which kind of which make you choose a certain way of speaking, a certain language, especially the language bullshit. So this the psychology and the sociological aspect actually overlap. So when I talk about men and women talking, that again has got a psychological dimension aspect. You have the sociological as well as the psychological dimension to it. And okay, then I want to move on to more important things. So let's come to a relatively new area which has developed. That is neurolinguistics. Actually, all of this, the neurolinguistics, the cognitive linguistics, clinical linguistics are all actually, first of all, put all together into psycholinguistics. But now we realize that no, cognitive linguistics has now kind of, broken away from psycholinguistics. And what does cognitive linguistics talk about? It talks about psychology combining the knowledge research of cognitive science. Cognitive means understanding and analyzing. How do we understand language? How do we analyze language? And then this is also, this actually adds cognitive science, which is actually a discipline itself. And we add the cognitive psychology. You have neuropsychology, and linguistics. These are all now, it is taught separately, cognitive linguistics. Then you also got neural linguistics, where you go into actually the how your brain is made up, the gray matter. And you see, this is actually language of the brain. And it is very interesting because it is like where in your brain is the language learning ability? Is it on the left side? Is it on the right side? You have heard of the right hemisphere or the left hemisphere, and you study the structure of the brain, and it is very interesting. There are many theories which talk about language learning controlled by the left side of the brain. But then there are other theorists who talk the mother tongue being taught, being in the left side of the brain, but a second language acquisition is actually controlled by the right side of the brain. So this is kind of the new concept. And then you have the writing skills. Where is the which part of the brain controls the writing skills? So is it the right hemisphere of the brain? Is it the left hemisphere of the brain? And how does this become important in language study? I'll give you a very short example. There was this gentleman who spoke two languages fluently, and he had an accident. And after the accident, he had some kind of brain damage. And then when he recovered from his accident and he regained his consciousness, one language was completely wiped out. He could speak only one language, the other completely wiped out. And this got the medical fraternity very interested. How did this happen? How did this person forget one language completely and remember the other completely? So actually this supported hypothesis that different parts of the brain, they store language memories. The language information is stored in our brain in different parts. This is still very much, under research, and there are many, who agree, who disagree, who come up with their own theories. But yes, this much everybody has now somehow or the other come to agree that language within the brain, the part of the brain where you have the language learning ability, it starts developing by approximately the age of 14. So the ideal age to learn a new language is before 14. You cross the age of 14 and then that part of the brain starts developing. So when the government introduces the old language policy, the government schools where English was introduced in class 6, and you calculate a child usually is around 30, is 12 to 13, 14. Especially if it's a rural child, the child is definitely going to be beyond 14. So the child is introduced to a new language where actually medicine reveals to us that the language learning ability of the brain has already been limited to a large extent. So with neurolinguistic studies, all of these problems, this knowledge will actually help us to frame policies about when to introduce new languages and so on. And then it's also about when we have two or three languages in our brain, how are we able to keep them separate in separate compartments? Man uses English in your classroom, but maybe often uses Hindi when he goes out marketing. And when I told you my mother tongue is Santhali, I am able to use the three independently, and I do not let one interfere with the other. How does my brain process that? Alright? And then you have got my vegetable lady, the lady who sells vegetables to me. She often asks me, क्या ट्रेन है मैडम? ट्रेन क्या हुआ? Isn't it? She comes and she tells me, उनका डेट हो गया. And then I have to work out, okay, उनका डेट हो गया, not डेट हो गया. And it's kind of actually not able to control this, separating the languages? Or is my brain more efficient than hers? Or is it that she does it deliberately? Is it a social linguistic element to it? So all of these come under neurolinguistics. So that is one entire area. Then we come to clinical linguistics, which is you have medical disorders related to language. And this is not a very new field. It has been worked on for quite a long time. You must have heard of diseases like aphasia. You have a brain injury and you forget your memory loss. You have a partial memory loss. And sometimes you will speak, but then you cannot write. That is called agraphia. Then you have got dyslexia. If you have seen the film Tare Zameen Par, in that film, the child, the main character of the film, he suffers from dyslexia, which actually is a language disorder. Alright then. And you have got autism, where you have a developmental disorder. It cannot be cured. A child is born with it. But with the proper research and with the proper input, the child is able to communicate, learn communication skills to the point of becoming self-dependent. So that a lot of language research goes into it, the clinical linguistics side of it, and a lot of support is needed for such students. We have got cerebral palsy. All right, this is an abnormal brain development with Alzheimer's, which is a disease which also is kind of a progressive age-related disease. All of them, now you have got research which actually delays Alzheimer's. Your grandparents, they keep forgetting a lot of things. So this is Alzheimer's setting in. So now you actually have got the medical sciences and linguistics working together. This is another field where you have medicine and linguistics coming together, clinical linguistics. And you know what? I recently attended a lecture by a professor from BHU, Banaras Hindu University. And they have come up with this completely new area called forensic linguistics. And I was amazed because actually you have got the forensics and language. They have now come together an interdisciplinary field where you have got, the linguistic knowledge and forensic science, they both come together and they help in identifying the criminals, kind of they give guidelines regarding interrogations, the questions, the investigations, the cues given by the speaker, by the perpetrator. Could be innocent, could be guilty. The language cues coming from the person are actually, very relevant in determining whether the person is innocent or guilty. And in fact, the professor whose lecture I attended was one of the persons who was called in during the Arushi murder case. Remember the Talwar murder case? He had actually been called in to kind of give his opinions, the language side of it. And it was very interesting for me, kind of little incomprehensible. But now this is in the developmental stage. All right, students? So this is another new area that linguistics can be used for. And then you have got computational linguistics. You all have your mobile phones, isn't it? And what happens? When I want to say Nirmala College and I say NIR and I type in NIR, immediately I have Nirmala College, I have Nirmal Jal, I have all these tens of them, isn't it? The computer is able to, the mobile phone is able to anticipate the word which I'm going to type in. The most frequently words which I type in. And it has got a complete data of English words. And now attempts are being made to make my smart computer smarter. Now instead of giving me 10 prompts, how could my smartphone give me only 5 and it knows? Maybe it's able to anticipate my way of thinking. Maybe, are they brain as possible. So computers, now you have got a lot of research. This is not this is multidisciplinary. Many disciplines coming together. Because when you create the data, you need English, you need computer skills, but you need data from history, you need data from anthropology, you need data from all kinds of things. All of them coming together and creating this huge corpus, that is why I put it at the bottom. So now you see the corpus linguistics is another area. And the data which we can collect, it saves us from collecting data from the big fields. We can actually use this data and use it for language analysis. A lot of research is now being based upon the data present in corpus linguistics collected. And this is one area which is again, actually applied linguistics. These areas are moving so fast, our syllabus is unable to keep up. We are falling behind. We are using it, but we are not aware that it is English which has actually been involved in developing this area. And then yes, give a documentary linguistics. This is another very interesting area. Even documentary linguistics. In Jharkhand, we have got, I think, 31 tribal languages. I think so. Those of you study JPSC, you should know that. And we have got one or two critically endangered languages and endangered and vulnerable languages. Can you tell me the one critically endangered language of Jharkhand, which is predicted to disappear, it is predicted that it is going to disappear, it's going to kind of विलुप्त हो जाना. In the next generation, it is going to die out. Which language is that? Have you heard of the language Beerhord? The Beerhord language. The Beerhord language. You have got a number of Hazaribagh, the hills of Hazaribagh, the Chuchu area, Chuchu Mandu area, and it goes up to some extent to the other areas. Some populations here, but mainly in the Hazaribagh area. Yes, it is actually a tribe, the Beerhord tribe, and the language is Beer. Now, United Nations has recognized that there are many languages across India, not only India, all over the world. Languages are dying out. And I'm very sorry to tell you that the mainstream languages are the reason. People are switching to mainstream language. So in a way, English is also a culprit.
Yes.
But you have a number of these languages with smaller communities which are dying out. And Beerhord is one such language in Jharkhand. You have got others which are vulnerable, but critically endangered. Why do I talk about it here? You know that every state in India has got one project, endangerment of language. And in Jharkhand, this project, endangerment of language, endangered project, to protect endangered languages from completely disappearing, it is with the Central University of Jharkhand. It would be a good idea if you take your students to Central University of Jharkhand to have a look at this project and what they are doing. Right? What this does is, endangered languages, they document the language. They document the written form. They don't have much of a written literature, so they document the voice. And they go to the actual population, they document the voice, they document the grammar, they try to understand the syntax, and they try to kind of keep some kind of documentary data about the people language. Alright, and are you aware one of the languages of Andaman and Nicobar? It went it went extinct recently, but the very wonderful Professor Amrita Afi, she was able to document the language with the help of the last surviving survivor, the lady who was surviving. Last surviving human who spoke, I think, I forget the name of the language, and then she was able to preserve it. She now has documented it. So today, documentary linguistics is an important area. Alright? So conserving, documenting, and keeping it alive for the future generations to do, to see, to do their research on, to work on. So these are all the areas of linguistics. And students, that is not the end. It is going Linguistics wouldn't, when I was a student, linguistics used to be a part of my English literature classroom. We used to have one or two papers. In fact, we had so little research and books on linguistics that it did not even constitute a 100-mark paper. It used to be like a 50-mark paper with Indian writing in English, 50% Indian writing, 50% linguistics. But now my students are going to JNU in order to do MA in linguistics. So now the studies of MA English literature and the studies of MA English
Linguistics.
linguistics have been totally bifurcated. Yes, so teachers who have come into the English literature studies later on, they might have to struggle with the linguistics papers because it's such a remote from our English literature classes.
Yes, ma'am.
That does not mean that applied linguistics is, linguistics is irrelevant. It is not irrelevant. Core linguistics is very important to me. And applied linguistics, like I said, the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary area, which is even more important. We are using language in order to solve a day-to-day problems. Can we imagine living without your mobile phone today?
No,
So can we do away with computational linguistics?
no.
No. We need it. We need it in our day-to-day life. Everywhere. Can we, today you have a gender sensitive language. You cannot call somebody blind. Previously we had, what do you call it, visually challenged. But then there were more researches done within social linguistics, and then we found that even the challenge word has got, the word challenge has got negative connotation.
Impaired.
So today we call them either visually impaired
Impaired.
or differently
Differently
able.
abled.
The word differently able is the
Positive.
socially correct word to use. Yeah. And then we do not call anybody a chairman and a chairwoman.
Chairperson.
Chairperson,
Gender neutral.
sensitive language. And then you have got something like you don't call them a hero and a heroine.
Actors.
Actor. You
Actor.
remember? You have actor and actress has also gone away. Poet, poetess has gone away.
Artists. They're artists and all.
Yeah, both. So
Uh,
what happens is that when you call about the actor, you take the word actor. And if you watch the Filmfare Award ceremonies, you will notice what? The best actor in the male category, the male best
Best
actor
female,
in the
yeah.
female category. This is all gender sensitive language which has come out of social media. And this is actually a progressive, this is actually a research and study in progress. It goes on. So we continue with everything. And one area peaks and becomes too big, and then you have a new sub area which develops out of it. Like you have, like I told you, social linguistics and cognitive linguistics, and then neuro linguistics and so on. It goes on and on. So, students, I gave you basically a fair idea of what applied linguistics is. But then, in order to apply linguistics, apply the scientific study of language to real life solutions, you need to understand core linguistics very well. Alright? Start with the empirical data, the empirical some data, the knowledge which you have acquired from core linguistics becomes very important. Without understanding of core linguistics, you cannot take it to applied linguistics. So that becomes very important. And the second part of the lecture is, yes, I would like to just jump over the next
Okay,
slide.
ma'am. Which one, ma'am, do you want?
Okay, yeah, these are the definitions. I've already explained the definitions. Yeah, the relevance. I will come to the relevance. Why am I delivering this lecture to you? You don't even have applied linguistics in your syllabus. Why do you need to study? Why do you need to understand what applied linguistics is?
Volume.
Let me tell you, students, it is not irrelevant for you. It is very relevant for you, and I'll tell you how. Many of you are going to go on to take up various jobs, and many of you are going to become English language teachers at the school level, primary school, middle school, high school, plus two, UG, and PG levels. And I'm very sure many of you will go on to be a PhD in English language. So, those students are from literature and language. How is it going to be relevant to you? You see, linguistics actually helps us to understand language, English language, where in terms of language use, how to use language, like I told you, politically correct, socially
Socially
correct.
correct.
You have all of these, we don't call Negroes anymore, we call them African
African
Americans,
Americans,
Asian
black
Americans. So all of how do you use language? In which context? Where to use which language? Business English, aviation English, medical English. So how all the studies about language use. Alright. Then you come to language learning. How do we learn language? And this is very interesting because when we talk about language learning, I don't know, but in my master college, I always talk to my students. What is your first language? How many students who have a mother tongue which is not Hindi? And then I okay, not school, in my classroom. And then I say, how many? Tell me about your mother tongue, first language. Many students tell me it is Bengali, some say Urdu, some say Mundari, some say Kuru, some say Nagpuri. But I have students with all kinds of languages in my class. And then I ask them, what is your second language? The second language many people tell me is
Hindi.
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 Some tell me Nagpuri is their second language. Students who know Mundari often say that Nagpuri is their second language. And then they say the third language is Hindi.
Hindi.
For some, Hindi is the first language. For some, Hindi is the second language. For some, Hindi is the third language. Alright? And then for many students, there is even a fourth language. And English is the
English.
fourth language. So what is the module we follow in India? Those of you who have taken up English, I wonder if it's usually or PGIC very mixed up. Teaching English as a second language. Do you have to study the paper? No, when you go to PG, MA classes, in the PG classes, you have one entire paper for students who take up linguistics. They have to study 100-mark paper on teaching English as a second language. What is the methodology we use? First of all, let's see. When I'm teaching English as a second language, I am not being fair because many of my students don't have English as a second language at all.
Yes, third, fourth.
For many students, I am teaching English as a third language
Fourth
and
language.
I am using a second language. I am using I'm teaching English as a third language through their second language. That is what has brought about all these debates about किस भाषा में primary school में पढ़ाई हो. Right now in Jharkhand, you have got the language policy. Jharkhand मातृभाषा में पढ़ाई होगी छोटे में. This is actually छोटा बच्चा we taught Hindi and English. Mother tongue is another one. So all of these debates are centered around these studies. All right, that is how to learn language. How does a child gain knowledge? How does a child learn language? Is it alright to teach English as a second language, third language, using a module where English should be taught as a second language? A lot of research has already begun with it in India. Fine. And then you have got things like when I am teaching English, then am I aware of the fact that there are some students who speak three languages and the three languages, supposing I give you three examples. Kuruk. Kuruk is a language which comes from the Dravidian linguistic group. Alright? It is a Dravidian language. When I say English, it is a Teutonic language. Those of you who have studied BA Part 3, History of English Language, to study the Proto-Indo-European chart. You see, India, English is a Teutonic language. You will study it in BA Part 3. And then when you English honors Part 2. And when you go over to Hindi, that is also part of the Proto-Indo-European, but it is an Aryan language. And all three have got a completely different vocabulary, a completely different syntax. The syntactical structure, the grammatical structure, which is in the brain. Hindi has got a different grammatical structure. English one, the mother tongue one. And if you know a fourth language, you've got yet another grammatical structure inside. do you understand? Answer this, please.
Ma'am, they think in a different language and they speak in a different language. Translation happens in between.
There's a constant translation going on.
Constant translation happening.
And let me tell you my exactly what I have had upon it. But I'd like to give you a real life example of a student from St. Xavier's College who told the father, Father, meet me behind the class when you are empty. I can tell you the mother tongue of the child. I can tell you why the student constructed this sentence. That is because I have got this background, because I understand what exactly the mental process which went on in the child's brain. You call it psycho, you call it socio, you call it the sociology of that, the sociological aspect of applied linguistics, or maybe you call it psycholinguistics, but I can tell you exactly what happened. It is actually the syntax and the morphology had, which was jumbled up, and the child was never able to, two meanings out of one word. The child's brain made that mistake. Sometimes even the computer. Have you tried translation from computer?
Yes.
Artificial intelligence of the computer. And you say Ram aam khata hai, and he says Ram eats notebook. Like Ram notebook manual is. Why did the notebook come in here? Khata
Khata.
instead of each notebook bun. So you see what the mistake which a computer makes, even a human brain could make. So there is this challenge of learning a language. And we as language teachers in future, when you take up a job as a language teacher, this is a very real situation which I'm very sure both of your professors face and which you will be facing in real life, even when you converse with
Others.
people on a day-to-day basis. So there is this conflict of how did this person learn English. Alright. So there is when applied linguistics becomes very, very relevant when it comes to the use of language, when you have the creation of terminology and so on, and then you have got the language learning and also language teaching, like I just told you. So it is very, very relevant. Even though you have not studied applied linguistics as a discipline, as a separate subject or maybe as a separate paper, you will have to face it as teachers of English. Next slide, please. So, how does applied linguistics help us? It helps us by teaching language better. It makes us sensible to the challenges being faced by the student in my class. So I'm able to make change in it. That's the challenge of that is what applied linguistics help us to do. Then you have got
That is from or is going to be introduced.
we talk about that at the end.
Relevance of education. What you are speaking is relevance of
What the person needs. Why teach technical English? And then, yes, now you must have seen, even if you look at the printed syllabus, every college has got a choice. The internal examination, yes, you have got a 30% mark. The weighting of, the benefit part, you have to adhere to one or the other. Many of the people go, isn't it? Very it out and you have to make it. So please do not even
Ashish